All right, welcome back to the Chinatown JKD Wednesday Night Group podcast. This is Dennis Blue. You finally got a new theme song? Sing it out.
No, because I stole it from Michael Savage.
Oh, okay. We'll steal a different one later. That's a little less known. Uh,
Okay.
we are here. Before we came on, before we started recording, let's say we were discussing some of our fun times with some of the ancients. And that was the nucleus days. Those were fun times. Back with the JKD nucleus and then the Bruce Lee Educational Foundation.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
that from 1901 to?
Yes, it was a very long time ago.
Yeah. So, of all of the people that were in the nucleus, and I'm not talking about obviously the Lee family. If I was to quiz you now, who of those are still alive? Who still remain
Yes,
with their
who of them
wisdom?
are alive? Yes, that is
Yes.
correct. Oh, let's see. Which ones were we talking about again?
Yeah, Bruce Lee Foundation nucleus,
Wow.
and we've had one of them on our podcast.
This Tacky's gone.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Golden's still around.
Yep.
Pete Jacobs is gone.
Mm, that's sad. Yeah.
Petite's gone, but he was never really on the
He
board.
wasn't in there. No,
No,
he
neither was
stayed out.
Dan, but Dan's still around. Okay, we know Larry passed a long time ago, but he wasn't part of it either.
Yeah.
Come
Chris
on.
Kent.
Herb Jackson, I don't remember if he was.
Herb
Um,
Jackson. I think he came. I don't remember if he was part of the
yeah, I remember seeing him a couple of times, but I don't think he was on board or anything. Of course, Chris, like you mentioned.
our very own.
Who?
Our very own.
Our very own. I don't know
Ti-
that guy. But there was
Timothy.
Bob Bremer.
Yeah, he's passed.
And you know what? I don't remember. Was Gemma part of it too?
I maybe 1 year.
Okay. And of course,
Timothy
Tackett.
Tackett.
Wow.
Tim
I don't.
Tackett is still around. You
Yep.
said did you say Steve Golden?
I said Steve Golden,
You
yes.
should say it again, just in case I didn't
Again,
hear you. Yeah, that's all I can think of. Anyone
that's
else know? But in the
that's pretty bad.
comments on YouTube
Ted
or
Wong wasn't a part of it. Richard Bastille was not a part of it.
yeah. What I really loved about those is that you got to have an event where you could not just meet people, but actually train with them. I think it was a great idea. That's what we are trying to do with our podcast here. Not only, talking to people, but getting out of the mindset of I think just, okay, this is what we do and this is how we're
Yeah,
going to do it
yeah.
forever.
Well,
And,
I don't know if you remember Seattle, because the way that it was originally set up is like each year is supposed to represent a different stage, so that's why we did in Seattle. And there we had Jesse Glover and James DeMille. Yeah.
yeah,
But I think either of them have passed too, but they weren't part of the board, but they were part of the project.
yeah. And, so we're looking forward to putting something together, more of a, what is it? What would you call it? That we'll have a podcast with multiple guests from these great eras
Hmm.
where we can discuss and hopefully put some events together where we can train together and work live the same way.
Right.
That was, I mean, for me as a young practitioner, I mean, I was reading everything Bruce Lee ever wrote and all the articles and all that, but to go out and actually work with Tacky
Mm.
and Chris Kent. I mean, I'd worked with Chris Kent already, but it was nice to actually work with him and have people see what we did.
All right.
Being that we were such a small area, we're not coming out of LA or Orange County or anything like this, the little Redlands group, and you had some heavy hitters coming out of our group for sure.
Mhm.
And seeing the Oakland stuff, seeing it was slightly different than the Chinatown stuff. There was
Oh yeah.
different ways that
Yeah.
Bruce had already evolved a few things, but historically it was really cool to see and to work and to try it and see if you could make it work.
Oh, you know what? I just remembered. Representing Ted Wong was Tommy Gong.
Tom McGong, that's right.
Yes.
He's still around.
Yep.
He's young. ish.
Not anymore.
Yeah, well, it was then. You know what I mean? The the young man's haircut.
Yeah.
Uh, oh my goodness! Last time we did an event with the Bruce Lee Foundation, as it was called by then.
Hmm.
Bruce's granddaughter, I forget her name, Shannon's daughter. Um, is it Grace?
Was that the one in LA?
Yeah, she
That
was a little girl running around, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, she must be 20 or 18 by now. Like
wow.
it's
Yeesh.
yeah. Anyway, wow, good times, good times. Um, well, we look forward to. I really look forward to getting together with some of these guys and kind of forging a path forward and seeing what we can do. It's not easy to get everybody on the same timetable. Everybody's
Yeah.
busy, but we had a great interview with Johnny McElhenney. We're so used to
Yeah.
calling him Mac,
Yeah.
and that's what he calls himself. Uh, it's hard for me to pronounce. McElhenney.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it went on long, as sometimes we do when we
Mhm.
are with friends. So,
Can you imagine though, had we had Johnny Mac and Patrick,
oh, I know. You know what? We should get them together.
that would be so cool.
The Irish don't like to talk, though.
Oh no, not at all. They don't even tell stories or anything.
I know they have nothing to say. You have to drag it out of them. I love it. It's like the first thing is you got. I mean, I shouldn't be repeating what you guys just listened to in the first episode, but I loved how he was just barely waking up, and I snuck that little joke in about him being British because he lives in London, and he says, half eight is really that's really late in the morning for an Irishman. Did you call me British? Still caught it. Did you call me British? And I says, no.
Hmm.
Anyway, well, we have the second half of this interview, and it gets better. We left off with him stuck at a police station, wondering if he was going to go to prison for 15, 20 years
Hmm.
for being drugged and assaulted.
All
So,
right.
without further ado, the second half of the Johnny Mac interview.
Dun dun dun.
Enjoy.
Fucking hell, here we go. Went in anyway, sat down with the police. They says, what happened? I says, well, I says, I was in a nightclub and I said, that guy out there um broke, I stole my watch. He goes, why are you all bruised? I says, I fell over. Were you fighting with everybody? I says, no, 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 no. And I was just keeping my mouth closed. I didn't want to end up in jail. And next thing I just says, can I speak to the tourist police guy outside? And they all started, what? I said, I need to talk to that guy outside. So they brought him in anyway, and he says, what's wrong here? I said, look, I said, I'm a tourist. I don't know what's going on here. I says, all I want to do is get out of this establishment. And he's winking at me and he going, yeah, yeah, yeah. So they bring me downstairs and they shower me off like Rambo in First Blood, I'm up against the wall. Give me this big yellow t-shirt and a pair of, it was like a pink sarong. And they said, where do you live? And I said, because I still had the drugs on me. I was trying to think where I was staying. So I found the name of the street, and the police put me in the back of a pickup, and they brought me back. And my wife's sister was waiting for me up all night, wondering where I was, because I didn't even have a mobile phone on me. And she was waiting, and the police came down and basically they took me off the pickup and literally threw me on the ground. And my wife's sister came out and went, whoa, 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 whoa. Why is Johnny, what's going on here? So she found the name of the police station. My wife was coming back from Bangkok the next day. So make a long story short, the the chief of police had to resign. The nightclub got closed down. I never got my watch back. I was going to go to court and get these guys put in prison, but they weren't tied. They were Burmese gangsters,
Uh,
and yeah, they weren't even tied. They were Burmese, and yeah, it was a mad 8 or 9 hours ordeal. Like
Hmm.
it didn't it didn't affect me that much. I don't know why. Maybe it did. Um, but when I got back from the greatest story ever told, that's when I started JKD. I says, I need to start. I need to start getting my technique, getting my head right, you know, so I don't end up in positions like that ever again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was scary times. Halloween night 2012. Never forget it. Yeah, never
Wow.
forget it. Yeah.
I bet you learned some things from that experience.
I fucking did. I learned to never go drinking on my own. I learned not to leave a drink unattended because it happens it happens everywhere in America, England, Ireland, Scotland, you name it.
Yeah.
People just are. You see it even in my bars now. Girls will get a serviette, like a tissue paper,
Hmm.
and they'll put it over the drink and they'll stick a straw in it because we've seen it on CCTV. Guys just putting Rohypnol into glasses and then
That's
girls are like this. Yeah.
so
Even
sick.
even in gay bars over here, it's rife in gay bars. There's more gay men being. It's actually worse for it's happening more in the gay scene than it is in our scene. But it is scary, you know, like people that will physically do that to try and do something else. It's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
sick. So sick. Oh man. So yeah, you got out of it's such a crazy story. I mean, it's like a movie. It could be made into a short film.
Oh, and then I wouldn't mind. Somebody sent me a documentary of a of a guy that was in Bangkok and the same thing happened, and I'm going, holy
Mm.
this guy got really done over. I'm going, I'm one of the lucky ones, you know. I'm one of the lucky ones. This other guy ended up in prison, and he was a boxer, and he basically ended up in boxing tournaments, my type tournaments, and basically they took him out of the prison to do loads of fights, and he escaped and he got back to the UK. But it was scary stuff, yeah, yeah, really
That's like a
scary stuff.
movie too.
Well, they made it into a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Undefeated or something.
I think it was so. Yeah, I'll find out and send you the link. But it's really good. Yeah, really good movie.
Yeah. Wait, was your wife related to somebody in the police?
No, she was. Layla's got really good connections with Singapore. So Singapore is like the Budweiser of Asia, and basically they basically run the whole country.
Wow.
And I was I was I think it was one of the first pubs in the UK to start selling Singapore through Molson Coors. And I emailed one of my reps when I was in Thailand, and he goes, Johnny, I've got a number. So Layla rang this guy, and it went to the whole way to the King of Thailand, to hit to the King of Thailand's right hand man, and that's when all these police guys they went, oh, you get in trouble with Singapore, they get in trouble with the mafia.
Mm.
You know, it's crazy. And the funny story is when we left Chiang Mai to go up to where my wife lives in Phang. It's about a 3 hour drive through the mountains, you know, in the middle of nowhere. It's where all the Chinese ended up after the war. They're all smoking opium in the middle of the streets, but it's a big massive drug county. And I met some of Layla's friends, and they got the white van and all the tools to go down and sort these guys out. And
Mm.
my wife says, no, I'm Buddhist. Layla wouldn't step on a fly. She goes, this is not going to happen. She says, no, we'll go down, we'll make these boys disappear. We put them, they'll be gone. So thank God that didn't happen. You know, can't fight fire with fire, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, crazy.
nuts, absolutely nuts. Yeah, it is. Like when I tell that story to people, they go, I couldn't have survived that. I says, well, you need to study adrenaline. You know, I had that night. Adrenaline kicked in 3 times. You know, they say it happens twice. That's why you see guys in fights,
Mhm.
and then they cool down. The next thing they want to go again. That's the adrenaline kicking in. But the adrenaline, I tell you, it just fight or flight. I done both.
Mm. Fight or
Fight,
shite.
flight, and shite. You're dead right, Jeremy.
Fight and shite.
I know which one came last.
Yeah, I mean it's like a scary sad story. I had to laugh though, you know, like when you told it to me the first time, you were telling it to me in a funny way, and it's like you're laughing, but at the same time going, "This is horrible." You know, it's like what a horrible thing to happen to somebody.
Oh, sure. And I wouldn't mind. When he tased me, I broke 3 of my toes. I
Oh,
was on
jeez.
crutches for about a month. Yeah, yeah. It was. I was. I probably should have went to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something for PTMS, whatever you bloody call it. But I kind of
PMS,
PMS. Yeah, did I say PTMS? That's the Irish version.
PTSD,
Yeah.
PTSD, PMS. It's the same.
Yeah,
I've dealt with it. I've dealt
I'm
with
just,
all of it.
I'm just waving at my son there. I want him to make me a cup of tea because I don't want to get up off my my seat. Us Irish like a cup of tea. You know what I mean?
I know it. We have our own electric kettle now.
Jack, come in the other door, please. Can you make me, Jack? Can you make me a cup of tea, please? Please, I need a cup of tea. I can't leave. I'm doing a podcast. Yeah. Come
That'll
here.
be in-
A question for you guys in America.
Mhm.
Why don't you have electric kettles?
We do.
Yeah, but only recently.
They're not common
Oh.
though, are they?
But why is that though? You have to stick it on the gas up and wait for it to go.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like with Keurigs, the little pod coffee makers. That's
Yeah.
another way that you can I was using that. I wouldn't put coffee pods in it. I would somebody bought one for me and I would just
Oh, yeah.
let the hot
Yeah.
water run out of it. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it never caught on as it did in Europe, but I like it. I have one. Do you have one,
Well,
Dennis?
it's interesting is because like I've been around Asians a lot in my life. They've always had those. They have the
Yeah.
hot water dispensers with boiling hot water that comes out of it, and
Yeah.
But
And of
they
course-
call them Burker boilers. The little
yeah,
you got constant hot water.
Yeah.
Yes, it's because my brother and sister both lived in the States. Arizona, hottest place on earth, and
Mhm.
San Diego, really cool place. But it's you put the kettle on, you're going. You have to get the gas, get the match lighted.
A proper tea kettle, yeah. Teapot. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, we did like when we were in England the first time in Christmas of 2022. We were like, oh, it is kind of cool to have a kettle. And then last year, TJ Maxx is a store here that has like,
Yeah, we have them. Yeah, we have them here. Yeah.
you know what I saw there? It was funny when we were in Ireland. We saw a TK Maxx and it had the same font and everything. It looked just like TJ Maxx at TK. I have a video of it, but yeah, TJ Maxx had a bunch of different electric kettles. My wife has one for when she's teaching ballet. She keeps a little one with her, and my son has, and my son uses it more than everybody. He's always making. It's like 100 degrees outside, and he's making hot
Cups of
tea.
tea. That's the way to go. Hot tea. Would you like a hot toddy?
It's like a cuppa.
totally.
Would you
Yeah.
fancy a, they say no, they say away. Fancy a brew? Fancy a brew? Would you like some Earl Grey tea? No, I don't want Earl Grey tea.
Loop
that's
song
piss.
Changmao.
I want proper tea.
You
Yeah.
don't like the flavors. You just want straight.
Builder's tea.
Yeah, no constant comment.
No. When my son is making me a cup of tea now, and I tell you, it better taste right.
It's got to be.
'Cause if it's too milky, it looks like it's seen a ghost. I don't like tea like that.
Mhm. And you don't like microwaving your water and your tea bag.
No, there's an influence in Ireland and he takes the mickey out of people. Jack, you're a top man.
20 quid.
I'm here doing a podcast with JKD's finest. Cheers, son.
And us.
Yes,
Say
and
what's
us.
up.
We're here to say hello.
Oh, he's gone again. He's wheeling and dealing.
What's his name?
Jack.
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 he's
That's
gone
right. You
again.
just said it 5 times.
Jack. Yeah,
What's
he's gone off.
his What's Jack's name? So, speaking of Jack, so how did you get connected with Conor McGregor? With you, you had a big thing with your pub, and
Yeah, he's where is he? He's here. I'd love to show you around the room with all the stuff. He's in the hallway. He was it was crazy. I tell you how it all started, right? I love networking. I just love the buzz of not meeting famous people, but another reason why I got into martial arts at that time, 12 years ago, there was a guy called a young fella called David Gilney. He was an Irish actor, worked for me in the King's Arms. And he says to me, Johnny, he says, you need to check out this guy called Conor McGregor. He's on YouTube. He's an up-and-coming fighter, MMA. I didn't know what MMA was, didn't know what UFC was, none of that. I was just into martial arts. And the whole mixed martial arts scene was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I went on YouTube and I seen this guy from Dublin just kicking ass, and I went, my God. So between, and I've often said this, said it to Conor, is between um the episode that happened in Thailand and seeing him fighting, and there was a big buzz about him in Ireland. He's the next big fighter. He's going to do this. He's going to. And I said, this is the time to start doing martial arts. And that was another reason. Okay, Bruce Lee's a big influence, and so was Conor to get into martial arts. And it's gas how the two of them came together when I did eventually meet him. But I seen him fighting 3 times before I actually physically met him. Didn't know him at all. And then a friend of mine called Shane Long. Shane Long used to teach MMA in County Cork in Ireland. And then Conor McGregor's coach called John Kavanagh had SBG in Dublin. And the guys used to have their Dublin fighters and their Cork fighters. And they'd meet every weekend and have all these different tournaments. And then I was fortunate enough to meet Shane Long in 2005. He invited me over through a drinks company. He invited me over to one of Conor's fights in Boston, and I got on great with Shane because I didn't realize he was into martial arts, and he owns his own brewery, and he's Irish, and we just get on. We get on great. We're just talking about fighting and martial arts and Bruce Lee and whatever, and so me and Shane became very good friends to this day. And he rang me one day and he says, Johnny, he says Conor McGregor is bringing out like a new Guinness, and it's called Forged Stout. And I said, what's it like? He goes, I'm going to be a little bit involved in it. And he said, there might be a connection there and they might want to launch it in the UK. And I says, sure, Jesus, would it be great if he launched it in London around where because I got 4 pubs. They're all beside each other. One is the Ring. It's a pugilist pub. I says, I'm into martial arts, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, look, he says, I'll put out the feelers. I said, fair enough, no problem. So while he's doing all the networking in the background, Conor was after launching the Forged Irish Stout in cans, and he launched it in the UK in Asda and Sainsbury's and all these different supermarkets. And as you know, I'm good friends with David Hay, ex cruiserweight, ex heavyweight champion of the world. There's only been 3 people: Usyk, Evander Holyfield, and David Hay that's held the 3 titles at the same time. So there's a guy called Andy O'Neill. He's a cut man for all the boxers in the UK. And Andy, if he fit into a bucket of shit, he'd come out smelling the roses. He just gets it. He gets in everywhere, right? So David Hay went to see Anthony Joshua's last fight, whenever it was. There's 2 fights ago when he fought Andy Ruiz or whatever it was. And the cut man had a can of Forged Stout in his pocket. And he walks up to David Hay and he goes, David Hay, he says, Johnny Mac told me to give you a can of this Forged Irish Stout. But a week before that, I was telling David Hay that I might be getting Conor McGregor over if I can get an angle to him. So David Hay had this thing in his head. So David picks up the can. He goes, Forged Irish Stout, yeah. He says, yeah, this should be sold in Mac and Sons in London. Johnny Mac, yeah, great guy, blah, blah, blah. So Andy sends me the video and I went, Andy, you're unbelievable. So then David rings me the next day. He said, I met this mad Irish guy. Give me a can of Forged Irish Stout. Bum, bum, bum. So make a long story short, the thing went out to Conor anyway, and so I've heard that he's seen the video of Andy O'Neill talking to David Hay, and then went, okay, well this guy must be connected in London. So Conor's team reached out to me. They rang me one day in the back of the house and said, John, we want to launch Forged Irish Stout. And I said, when is it? It was the same time you and Dennis were doing the seminar in America. And they said, we got 7 days to organize this thing. And I said, guys, I'm flying to LA tomorrow morning. So I was trying to, when I was in with you guys, I was trying to organize all the logistics, and my brother Ryan was there, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was great. I arrived back from the seminar with a sore foot. I remember I sprained my foot.
That's right.
And yeah, we had the whole of Waterloo set up. So he came to London to launch his product, and people were saying, "Is he going to turn up? Is he going to turn up?" And he said he was going to turn up. And with all the four pubs all dressed with Forge Stout and posters and all the social media, and there was celebrities there and everybody turned up. And of course, Connor old fashioned turns up late. But by Jesus, when he turned up, he had a script. He had all the girls there all dressed up. He had the cameramen. It was just the man is just he's just a marketing genius, you know. He arrived at the bar. He done a big speech. We went in behind the bar. I've never met him before. And as soon as he seen me, he says, "Johnny Mac, fair play to you. Thanks very much." Done a big shout out for Mac and Sons group. Put Mac and Sons on the map. A lot of people know about Mac and Sons. And yeah, we had a great night. Went to all the different bars with him and his people and all his security men. And then he brought me and my wife out for dinner that night with friends. And then we just kind of I kind of reached out with him on Instagram after it, you know. That'll be 2 years this September. And then we just kind of remained like we're not really good friends. We're just buddies.
Mhm.
And anytime he's in London, he'll reach out and he'll say, "Look, do you want to go for some food?" And he's brought me on his private jet to all these bare knuckle fights in Marbella and in Newcastle and Italy and all that. So it's like, yeah, he's just a really nice guy, you know. But the funny story is, I said, "Connor," I says, "we've got a lot in common." And he says, "Why is that, Johnny?" I said, "We're both Irish. We've both got MC in our middle names. We're both black belts in two different martial arts." I says, "We both run pubs. And the fifth one is we're as mad as a bag of cats." He says, "Johnny," he says, "there's one difference between me and you." He says, "I'm worth about 700 million more than you."
Fair play.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? It's like all these celebrities. I know a lot of famous people, not by choice. I just bump into these people, and I just get on with people, and I'm very approachable.
Yeah.
What you see in front of the camera and what you see off the camera are two different people.
Mhm.
You know, people put on a show, and that's what you do. You know, and that different sort of, you know, it's sometimes I feel for people because it's like it's hard to be in the limelight all the time, and then when you're not in the limelight, they wonder why they're not in the limelight. You know, and you get all this bad press and all these funny stories about you're being accused of this and you're being accused of that, and it's like,
Mm.
you know, I think that's what comes with fame, unfortunately. You know,
Yep. Fame's a fickle friend.
it's a fickle friend, but
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the way it is. You know, you have to. It's like anything, you know. You have to. It's like in my business. It's the hospitality industry. You're surrounded by alcohol. You're surrounded by late nights. It's very easy to fall into that trap, you know. And it's very easy to fall in with the wrong crowd. And you just need to be so careful because there is people out there that are just out for certain things. They want to use you to get to people. Like even me knowing a couple of high profile people just sending me messages. Can you do this to me? And I'm going, hold on a minute.
Mhm.
It's crazy what people will do to try and get stuff done, you know. And if
Yeah.
you try, and I'm not like that. If something happens, it happens, you
Right.
know. As my dad says, "Johnny, it's nice to be nice, you know. Good karma. Treat people the way you want to be treated yourself, and you'll always have a good bunch of friends around you."
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's the Conor McGregor story.
That was great. Yeah, I was they have I think they have a Netflix documentary or series on him, something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
McGregor forever. When the last time he fought Justin Poirier, when he broke his leg. It's funny because he lost that fight, but you'll see him in the octagon. That's nearly 4 years ago now. You'll see him in the octagon. He's going, "It's a doctor's stoppage. It's a doctor's stoppage. His ankle was broken. It's a doctor's stoppage. You didn't stop me. The doctor stopped. The doctor stopped. You know, because he was so buzzed about that fight. You know,
Yeah.
but you know, the bones give in, and I don't know whether he's going to fight again. It's 3 years ago, 4 years ago since he was in the
Yeah.
octagon. He's too big now. You know, Dennis, if you go up a weight in any sort of martial arts or boxing, it's very rare you go down. So whatever weight he's at now, he's at a big weight now. So if he was going to win, he's not going to win at 145 or 1.5. He'll be 175 or 180 because he is he is a big lump of a guy now. Like he's just pure muscle. So
Yes.
I
He's
don't know
doing
whether, yeah, I don't know whether he's gonna. I don't know. It might be a couple of exhibition bouts in boxing or something like the whole Mayweather setup. I don't know, but I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see him back one more time. You
Yeah.
know, just for the final finale. But just we needs to get back into it. You know.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. He's into acting now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
I think Roadhouse 2 was on the cards.
oh, is it?
Hmm.
Dennis, did you see Roadhouse?
Yeah.
The one that he was in. Yeah, the new
Yes.
one.
Did.
Yeah, I liked it. And it's like, yeah, he was big though. He had definitely jacked up.
Jeez, he was like, you know what I mean? People say like his acting was terrible. The man's not an actor. You know,
Oh,
it's like he's a martial artist. He was asked to go on a film, but that got 50 million views in the first week because of
yeah,
him. You know,
exactly.
he's not stupid. And it was the Conor McGregor show when that movie came out. I know you had Jake. What's his name? Jake Middlehall, is it? No.
Oh, I forget.
Yeah, and he's a good actor as well. He's been in a couple of boxing movies as well, and they got really jacked up for that. But the last scene is where McGregor walks out. He's after escaping out of hospital, and you can see his little arse in the pants, and he's walking out the door. So to me, and as well, I said it to the guys the other day. I said he's starting to grow his hair back, and he's starting to grow that big beard. And going, are they getting ready for number 2? He probably is.
Yeah, probably.
Say nothing yet. Yeah.
You know, I give him credit for the big beards that everybody's. I go to the gym, work out, and and there's like 10 guys with the what I call the Nebuchadnezzar beard. You know, it's it's out to here, and I think I saw people growing beards, but like but not like that until Conor McGregor was on the scene. You know,
Everybody, even in the UK, everybody's got a beard now.
yeah,
But now there's a new haircut now where everybody's shaving their hairs down the sides. It's like a rugby haircut. My
yeah.
son has got big bushy head of hair up here, and this is all the craze now. The beard is going now, and it's the moustache. The moustache is the new thing now. The
Isn't
Freddie
that
Mercury
crazy?
look.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I've
Just
never
mad.
been able to pull it off. Dennis can pull it off. I don't know.
Dennis is the only man I know that blows dries his hair with a towel.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. My hairdos are getting weirder and weirder because as I get older, it gets thinner in some areas and others stay. You just
I'm
try
the
to
same,
just
like
try
a
to fluff
scarecrow.
it. We're talking about hair now, you see?
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, that the acting stuff is fun. I mean, I would love to do another film, and but I'm 53 and I've had plenty of injuries, and I'm slowly.
Big Germany, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to use exercise and stretching and other things. I didn't say steroids. I said other things. I'm just using, all the what I can stretching, but not. And I feel like I'm slowly getting some movement back. But to think, even that little film festival film that I did that's in the background here, Target
Yeah.
Jeremy. Um, I was actually going through injections in my spine for bulging disc while filming it, and
Really? Bloody
yeah.
hell.
Oh yeah, and I was the choreographer too, which was nice because I could choreograph around my injuries. But um, yeah, you go hours and hours and hours doing the same movements over and over again.
Is there a link for that movie, Jeremy? Is there a link for it? Can you send me the link? I've never seen it yet. Or is it out?
You've never seen it. I may
No.
be able to find what it is. Is it's still being actually? It's still going through film festivals.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, even
Okay.
though you can see how much younger I look, the reason is it. The director, he did everything out of pocket, but and it was a really cool project. It was really great. But what happened was, when he'd get work, he would stop working on that, and then he'd go work on another project. And this was
Yeah.
just so it's literally been 10 years since the movie was made, and
What?
I mean it's been being edited and stuff throughout almost a full decade. And depending on which cut you get, there's a scene at the end where I'm playing with my son. He's a little kid on the couch, and we're playing video games. And so, yeah, it's funny. So, but anyways, yeah. So I was like 43 doing this film, and now I'm like, it would be great to do again, but Yeah, I mean, I don't want to use stuntmen. I don't want to use stunt doubles, so you gotta see what you can do.
You're the Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You want to do everything himself.
Well, and the good thing was, it's like I was like I said I don't want to do the old fashioned martial arts movie thing where I beat up an entire set 100 people that have machine guns with just my bare hands. So the character
Yeah.
actually uses a gun and martial arts and stuff as well. But
You done a Harrison Ford, did you?
yeah, yeah, and Dennis also helped us out with it. It was good to
Oh,
have
cool.
somebody that knew the right which end of the gun to point. So, I was like, "That's the barrel." Oh, okay, good.
But there's no water in it.
It's like it was grand. Anyway, what do you got planned, Johnny? What are you doing? What's coming up?
Hold on. I'm just doing a podcast, Molly. Do you want to come in and say hello? Come on in. Come in and say hello to Jeremy. And
I'm good.
yeah, okay, thank you. See you later. This my daughter going, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? Are you talking to some of your famous friends?
Exactly.
What's on the agenda? Geez, I tell you, I got so much stuff. Got
You
so
said-
much stuff.
You're setting us up a big seminar over in Ireland. That's what you're doing.
What's that?
You're
What?
setting us up with a big seminar in Ireland. We're all meeting up. Remember? You don't remember committing to that? That would be great, though, wouldn't it?
Oh, I would look. You know what I mean? I was talking to. I'm really good friends with Connor's boxing coach, a fella called Philip Sutcliffe.
Mhm.
He boxed in the Olympics in 1960, whatever it was, 68 or 69, whatever it was, and he owns a boxing club in Crumlin in Dublin, and that's where Conor McGregor basically. Conor was boxing there when he was a kid, and they reunited after when Conor got famous. He went back to his roots, and he went back, and he goes back and he trains in this boxing club. But Phil is a great guy. It's a community boxing club. It's £10 a week. He makes no money out of it. He's had European champions, Irish champions, and he's just a great guy. But he's a great boxing coach, and I became really good friends with him. And I'm trying to get him over to the UK to do some boxing stuff at Lack, and then on the flip side, I'm trying to organize maybe some of our guys to go over to Dublin. But there's probably only about 4 guys that I'd be able to bring, because the other guys wouldn't be able to hack it. It'd be like, you know what I mean? You get into a boxing ring in Dublin, fucking, there's no messing. You know what I mean? You don't want to be bringing lads over and going, ah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like, so I don't know whether to do the boxing thing, or else just bring them to maybe John Kavanagh's gym in Dublin just to do some floor work with jiu-jitsu and all that. So I'm trying to work it out. But it's
Yeah,
just trying to get people, but you know yourself, trying to get people organized and getting the cash, and they can't afford this and they can't afford that. But
Yeah.
it'd be nice. It'd be nice to do something, for sure. For
Yes.
sure. Yeah. For
But
sure.
anyway, yeah, I cut you. I cut into you. What you were saying? What do you got planned for the future? As you got business, you doing pleasure?
Well, this whole Molly Max thing is gone. It's going the right direction. I was on about I was talking about this spice bag, the spice bag with the chips and all that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're thinking about setting up this company called the Spice Bag Boys.
Hmm.
So it's like me and my brother. So it's a bit like the way Five Guys have done the burgers, and it's massive over here. We just do Spice Bag and Guinness.
Wow.
So we're thinking about going to Dubai and maybe doing a few in Dubai.
Hmm.
We don't know what we're going to do. I think we just need to get Molly Max, the new place, get that right first with the management. We got all these different people. When you're doing well, you've got all these people coming to you. You should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm going, I'm 53. I'm comfortable. Do I need to earn more money? Do I need to spend more time with the family? Do I need to be working 7 days a week? So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to work smarter and not harder.
Right.
And just build a team and say, right, guys, and just orchestrate it. I'm doing a leadership course at the moment, and accountability, and it's done. I'm doing a lot of journaling now, so I'm making people accountable for what they're doing in work. So instead of me telling them what to do, they're telling me what they're going to do. So it's their idea. If it goes wrong, okay, that was your idea. Because if you start telling people what to do, well, that was Johnny Mac's idea.
Mm.
Yeah, but that was his idea. I fucking told you it wouldn't work. But if it's their idea and they want to get behind it and they want to drive it, and when it goes good, I'll give them a bit of I'll lead them along the way and say, yeah, that's a good idea, but what have we done it this way? Oh, I never thought of that. And we have, what I've learned out of these leadership courses is never say why to somebody, because that's like going, you've up. Well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why aren't you doing that? Why did that go wrong? Or why is he doing that? Why is he doing this? It's like, have we a solution to fix this problem? What have we put in place so it doesn't happen again? And put all the emphasis back on them. It's a bit like you guys when you're teaching JKD. You ask the students for their feedback. Feedback. It's feedback is I think is key to everything. If you don't get feedback from your students, and if you don't get feedback energy when you're doing JKD, how do you learn?
Right.
So it's the same. It's the same thing in life, innit? Now we're getting into all the philosophy shit,
Yeah.
Well, it's not shit, but that's where it's going,
Yeah. Great. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So anything you want people to check out or go see of yours, or anything you want to promote?
If you're in London, come to Mac and Sons, especially if you have any sort of Irish heritage, come to Mac and Sons, because it's like with our family, we got a great connection with America. My granny wrote to Ronald Reagan on St. Patrick's Day, the 17th of March, 1984, inviting President Reagan, because President Reagan was coming on a visit to Ireland, and she wrote him on her typewriter, "Dear Ronald, my name is Molly McElhenney. I live in a lovely town of Atboy. We have a creamery. We've got a hotel. I own a fashion store. I'd like to invite you for a luncheon and tea in my lovely house of Atboy. I've got seven kids. Blah blah blah. I'd really like for you to visit." Went to the post office, put it in an envelope, licked it, put it through the letterbox, and goes, "Jesus, wouldn't it be great if he wrote back to me?" Not thinking anymore. 2 weeks later, the postman back in 1984, there's fucking an envelope to White House, Washington. So it was hand delivered to her house. Molly McElhenney, we've got a letter here from the White House. She's going, "Dad, this is somebody taking the piss." She opens up the envelope, still have the envelope, the original letter. "Dear Molly McElhenney, the president would like to thank you gratefully for his invitation to luncheon in Ireland. Boom, 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 boom. He wants to pass on his gratefulness, his thankfulness for thinking of him on his visit. But unfortunately, due to the high demand of his schedules, boom, 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 he can't make it, but sends on his love and thanks very much for your letter." He read the letter, and we have that framed in the pubs, and it's great. And when anybody from America comes over, the first thing I say is, "Look, we got a connection with Ronald Reagan." They went, "What? Yeah, read that letter."
That's great.
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
You have a presence on Instagram or anything you want people to check out?
Mr. Johnny Mac, or just look up Mac and Sons, and you'll just see you'll just see everything. You'll see everything about about what we do. I love it. Yeah. Especially the Ring pub. The Ring has got some serious heritage. We're trying to do we're writing a screenplay for about Bella. It's going to be called Bella of Blackfriars, about the first lady boxer promoter, what we talked about earlier on.
Oh, nice.
So we're trying to do a Netflix thing that's a bit like, the way Bruce has done the new Warrior episode.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like the Warrior, Peaky Blinders mixed together. So we got some guys that really like the idea. So
interesting.
yeah, I got a really good guy living down the road here, and if I can get a hold of this guy that lives, he's a famous actor that lives down the road, and he's got a connection with somebody else. If I can get a hold of him, he'd be great for it. He would open up big doors. I don't want to mention his name, but hopefully if I can get to him, it could be really good.
I think I know who you're talking about. I won't say it.
Yeah. But yeah, happy days.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Dennis, any final words of wisdom before we let him get into his day
Oh yeah, before his starts and
ours ends?
You never asked me how I got me black belt in JKD.
Yeah. Well, how did you get a black eye in JKD?
Well, I tell you, to get my black belt, I'll never forget it because I puked about the last. I used to do 10 rounds of boxing and 10 rounds of kickboxing, 10 3-minute rounds. When I tell people that I had to do 20 rounds for my grading, they go, "No, you fucking didn't." I said I did. I done 10 rounds and half an hour break, and then another 10 rounds against, was Tom McGrath with me that time? Was no, what's name? Was James Lack, D, and Ben. By God, I tell you, Lack didn't hold back on me. I tell you, oh Jesus! You know the 3 primary targets. The one downstairs, he loves going. He loves going for the meat and 2 veg. Misdirection. Whoop, boom! I was like, oh my God! But to do that, that was hard. And I done that when I was 51. You know,
Yeah,
and
that's right. That's right. I
and
remember.
yeah, and as I say to the students, because Lack is trying to get me into the whole teaching thing now as well.
Mhm.
I said to the guys, I wasn't drinking. I was running every day, and I was training like a devil. I lost a load of weight, and I was conditioned. And we got some other guys that are nearly at black belt stage now, and one guy done four or five rounds, and he's just not conditioned enough.
Mhm.
So it was pushed back till the next grading, because I know he can do it, but you need to be fit to put in the 15 rounds before the black belt round, you know. But yeah, you need to be fit, you know, and that's all about it. And that's how you're measured with your black belts. Like if you're gone after 3 or 4 rounds, bye bye, see you later. And it's not fair. It's not fair on the students, and it's not fair on us, because like we're not going in at 90%. We're going in at 50%. But still, you need to, you know, you're going for your black belt. You need to you need to earn it. You know, you need to earn it.
You
You
know that
know,
it reminds me of our friend. My brain's blanking out, Dennis, over there in the South Carolina.
Brent.
Brent Lance.
Yeah.
but Brent,
Brent's guys, they did a lot of that. Theirs was, as it should be, very sparring based. But sometimes I would be like, oh man, their guys would come in. Oh yeah, they just beat the hell out of me until it's like, what was that? Oh, it was for my level 3.
really?
Or whatever, it was just, yeah, they were saying that they would, I'd hear these stories and I was like, well, I mean, are you learning anything? Yeah, no, they did. Yeah. But these guys were tough. Come out of there. Yeah. They just, if nothing
Oh,
else, they were not afraid to fight. As,
yeah.
and see what Bruce Lee told Bob. He said, you should at least, talking about the opponent, right? You should at least be able to trade with them. And that can be easily a statement that could be easily kind of tossed aside. But Bruce was saying, if you're a student of his, if you were training, and no matter what opponent you faced, you should at least be able to trade punches with them, at the very least. And I remember Bob Bremer. Remember this, Dennis? Bruce they were talking. I forget who brought it up, but Bruce. They were talking about. Bruce told Bob that Bob could beat most grandmasters, and Bob would say, "Nah, I mean these guys, they've been doing this and that for this." And Bruce said, "So," and they would. I think the conversation was like, "Well, okay, what if he'd only been doing it 5 years?" And Bob said, "Well, yeah, I think I could do it." And he goes, "Okay, then what about 6?" And he kind of went through the years. Well, what about 10 then?
Right.
And he said, "So what makes it so different?" And finally Bob says, "You know what? I think you're right."
I just knock him out. I
Just
just knock him
reach
out.
over and knock him out.
I just reach over and knock them out. But
Yeah.
you know what's great about you guys, and myself and Jeremy had this conversation before, like the connection that you guys have from Bob to Dan to Linda, from the Wednesday night group to Tim Tackett. Like when you think of all the other JKD schools out there, there's nobody in a ring fence like the ring fence they're wearing, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
it's like, and we like myself and Jeremy always had these conversations about all these other people that trained with Bruce and went off and started their own JKD schools, and it's like this is the way, and it's kind of, it's like the tree has gone. It's the tree is grown too big, and it's like, hold on a second, we need to cut the branches off this thing, get it back down to the, but get it back down to roots and get back to the way, like if Bob, what do you think if Bob never turned up that time? Do you think Tim would have taken it a different way, or what's your feedback on that, lads? You
Well,
know,
I'll put it this way, because Tim's still around and he could speak for himself, but I definitely saw a change. I mean, Dennis had been there for years and years, but just the little time I was there, Bob was already started. I think I might have shown up the first time Bob showed up. I don't know, but it was early on. I mean, to actually start hanging out at the Wednesday night group. But we were very much more like an Inosanto class. There was Silat, Savat, Kali, JKD, Muay Thai in every class.
Yeah.
And Dennis had them as separate classes because he had a school. And I
Yeah.
appreciated that. I loved being able to do all of that. And then your JKD, you could pull from those things.
Yeah.
But I saw Bob stand up and say, "Oh, Bruce wouldn't do that." And thankfully Tackett was open enough to not, instead of saying, "Well, this is my class," he would say, "Well, yeah, what would Bruce do?" Right? I mean, but I mean, Dennis had been around a lot longer. But you saw a change, didn't you? When
Did I
Bob
see a change?
when Bob showed up.
I've seen many a change. Well, because first there was the presence of when I first started. Tim actually had a couple of former, not so famous or not so well known actual boxers that used to come up there. And but Bert kind of chased him away. But but yeah, so we like you mentioned, because there was that epic where I was going to the Inasano Academy at the same time.
Oh,
So hey, your finger's in my eye.
Well, let's just pause there.
back.
Oh hey,
Here's
Johnny,
John.
when did you show up?
I was just walking the dog.
Okay, well, we're gonna start the whole program now. Are you ready to go?
Deja vu. I don't know what happened there. I think we ran out of time on the Zoom thing, did we, or something?
No, I think you were touching your screen, I think. Very nice. Anyways, Dennis was saying that he saw he saw a few changes and
Yes, I did.
and
Yeah.
had some boxers early on.
Yeah, because we've always had people feeling out for other things, like because I